Hello, my wonderful viewers. Wow, there's more than
1600
now. So you guys kind of need a name, right? Put your name suggestions in the comments, and I guess I'll pick out my favorite one and call you guys that. In today's very late video, we are going to be talking about my Fursonas. And I know you guys really love Sylvia, but I'm going to make you wait till the middle of the video to talk about her because I want you to stay and watch. So first we're going to be talking about Frank, Sylvia's wonderful boyfriend. Okay, so how I'm going to do this is I'm going to tell you the characters' basic backstories and then kind of how they all met, and then at the end I'm going to close it off with kind of little details about their story and how that would actually happen, how I would tell you their entire story. So with Frank, Frank's story starts off as him at the age of 4 waking up with piles of a broken abandoned building on him and no one around him. He can't remember if he has any family or anything about his past life. He just woke up there and it's an abandoned building that's collapsed mostly, so there's not too much for him to like hide under. And as the years go by, he starts building it up, and eventually he's at the age of 6 and he's been living in this collapsed building for quite some while. Just to clarify, this is in Canada. I'm not sure exactly where in Canada, but he's kind of in the middle of the forest, so kind of far away from civilization. Like, there are still roads, but his driveway's pretty long, so he hasn't like connected with many people. He's only at the age of 6, so he's just been taking care of himself, eating like berries and stuff that he knows are edible. And one day he meets a 9-year-old girl. Her name's Daisy. And a fun detail about Frank is his favorite flower is daisies, and that's actually why, is because his childhood best friend was named Daisy, and he also just really liked daisies. When they met, Daisy was like, "My name's Daisy, like the flower." And Frank was like, "What flower? Like, what are you talking about?" And she showed him, and he was like, "Oh, I see those all around. Those are called daisies," and ever since they've been his favorite flower. So Daisy would teach Frank stuff, like she would bring her homework and they'd do her homework together. Even though it was 2 grades above him, he still picked up on it pretty fast, and he learned from that. So he started learning math and stuff like that, learning how to read. And then one day, some of the kids from Daisy's school followed her and found out that Frank was living there. And they started like bullying them, basically, like saying, "Oh, this is like a poor homeless boy, like why are you hanging around him?" And they were very mean, and that's kind of where Frank's anger issues started, was people were treating him really badly, and that was kind of all he was focused on, and he just started to replicate that behavior in himself. So these people would be really mean to him, and he just would react mean back. Like, that's how he reacted naturally. And then one day, out of nowhere, Daisy never came to one of their meetups. She just didn't come. And weeks later, she never came. And Frank had no idea where she went. So he got very upset at Daisy because she just vanished. Like, he doesn't know where she went. So that is how his story starts off. His ex-best friend leaves and he never knows where she goes. Then eventually he gets help from like government. And they pay for some of his expenses, get him into school. He kind of jumps back and forth in foster home before deciding that's definitely not for him because he just doesn't connect to anyone there. So he moves out at 16 and just uses government funds to pay for his expenses. And then he meets Sylvia in high school. And at first they're just platonic friends. They do study sessions, like they're really just study buddies. But then they start feeling romantically and eventually they start dating. And then they both graduate, and now, currently in their story, they are both 19 years old and they move into an apartment together, sharing rent. And for a while they live together, they function pretty well, and then Slime moves in. Though it's later in the story, but for now, Frank has a pretty like aggressive and very angry personality. Like, he's also kind of like calm in some cases where he can just be like himself, where he feels safe. He's very like the mom of the group, like taking care of both Sylvia and Slime and just making sure they don't get into any trouble. So he's very like serious, but he's also caring. He cares for people, and he just has trouble showing his affection, and he really hates his anger issues and is trying to work on them. He just can't afford therapy right now. So yeah, there's also a really cute headband I have of him that I've made canon, where he makes those little daisy headbands anytime he gets mad at Sylvia to apologize. Like, whenever he feels bad, he just goes to nearest park and he makes daisy headbands for her, and then he comes back and is like, "Here, this is for you. I'm sorry for yelling at you. So please draw fan art of that. That would be adorable." Oh, Sylvia, your guys' favorite apparently, since you've made so much fan art of her. Sylvia is the first persona I've ever made, and she's like my favorite design-wise. Like, I really like her design. But despite what you may think, because I use her to represent me a lot, she's actually the one I relate to like the very least. We do share a lot, and I do use like my personas are meant to represent certain things that have happened to me, just either exaggerated or told in a different light. That's kind of like, I'm not going to share my personal experience, but I'm sure you can kind of grasp from what I'm saying. So Sylvia's backstory starts off when she was in middle school, and she's living with her mom and dad and her 2 brothers, her 2 older brothers, in Texas in the United States. And she joins a new middle school, and she makes this big friend group with all these girls, and these girls are incredibly toxic to her, like the worst. They physically abuse her, they are talking behind her back, and it's having a big toll on Sylvia and her mental health. And she starts kind of going partially insane in like a middle schooler's insanity. Like, she's not actually insane, but she's feeling very isolated and alone, and she's not doing good mentally. And I am going to ruin all of your days everyone that loves Sylvia and thinks she's so nice, she's such a sweet little, Sylvia's so nice, like look at her design, she's so cute, I'm going to ruin your day. Because she starts planning murders, like full on murder plan. She never actually executes them because she's too scared to, but like she's going full insane, like planning these girls' murders because they have hurt her so much. And I heavily encourage everyone, because I'm not going to reveal what the murder plans were, but I heavily encourage everyone to make fan art that is very gory of what you think she would do if she actually murdered them. I want you to please draw fan art of that on how you think Sylvia would try and murder them or succeed to murder them. Okay, moving on. She moves after that, and she's no longer in contact with these girls, and her mental health improves drastically, especially when she meets Frank. They start dating, and she just feels so much more happy and loved. And then, obviously, she moves out, she gets an apartment, all those things. Sylvia is very, like, kind and generous now. She definitely wasn't in middle school because she was doing pretty bad, but she loves making candy, she loves, like, alternative music, she's very bright. She's also kind of oblivious and like dumb, but in a cute way. Like she'll often have people sexualizing her and she doesn't realize, which is a bad thing. But Frank always stands up for her and is like, don't you dare talk about my girlfriend like that. Like, I'm going to kill you. Not literally, but he gets very upset whenever people are being rude or disrespectful to her. So she's all good. She normally realizes afterwards and then is kind of like, oh, that really sucks. Like, I didn't realize that. But it doesn't bug her too much. So yeah, that's Sylvia. Slime, our last and arguably most interesting backstory. Slime is not from planet Earth. He is from a different planet. Yes, Slime is an alien. So he was from a planet, he was born in a planet where basically the ideal society is a society where no one shows any emotion and they're all like completely emotionless. And Slime was a very expressive kid. So obviously that clashes. I've developed like quite a lot for this, so just watch me yap about all the different details. So Slime is very considered lucky to be put in an area like very close to both of his parents. Not because, oh, like you want to spend time with your parents and you want to connect with them. No, because then they can tell him medical details in case of injury or he's needing something, if they have any like past diseases or anything like that. Like that's the only reason that it would be good to be near your family. So family is not like, there's no such thing as like a loving couple where they all live together and like you're having a full family in this universe. No, they all live in pods. Like from very young you're taken care of for a little bit, and then at like the age of 2 you're put into your own house. And obviously you can like go to your neighbors that are right next door and ask them for help with stuff. Like they don't completely manage themselves. Their neighbors are emotionless. Like they're not going to be getting taught a lot. Their neighbors are just going to come over to like cook meals for them. And normally people get like separated from birth from their parents, but Slime was lucky and he's pretty close to both of his parents in like distance wise. Their houses aren't too far away. So he tries to connect with his parents. His dad just kind of ignores him, doesn't care at all. His mom acts very stern and disciplined towards him, not in a emotional way, just like a don't show that much emotion. Like they're literally just emotionless, like very serious, goal oriented. That's the society they want. And his mom is like kind of perfectly replicating that, where you can't tell any emotion. Like it looks like she doesn't care for him at all, but she's always kind of hovering around, and Slime just thinks that's like, oh, she's just like making sure I don't mess up. So Slime lives a very rough life at the start. He's not happy. He's trying to mask as many emotions as he can, but that's really hard for him, so he slips up a lot. And he sees what happens to people that slip up too much. When you show too much emotion, you're taken away to the hospital, which is basically like a mental hospital, but if they just like didn't care about you at all, ever, which I know some mental hospitals are like that, but like they're basically just drugging these people and brainwashing them into like being emotionless in this place. So Slime obviously doesn't want to go there, so he's masking just enough, like around big crowds. But if like other kids are in the room with him and there are only like a few people in the room, then he'll try and connect with the kids and like show emotion, which is frowned upon. For a short period of time, he actually does like mask really well and he's just emotionless, but then he kind of gives up. Like he's kind of viewed as an outcast. That's kind of weird, but not weird enough to send to the mental hospital. And one day, at the age of 18, Slime escapes. He takes a pod, which was fairly easy actually, and he literally just books it, like fly away from that planet as fast as he possibly can. And he lands on Earth, and he makes a few Earth friends, and he's amazed that everyone shows so much emotion, and there's parties and fun, and he loves drinking, and he's just like partying his heart out, having so much fun, and he's learning about all these things. So Slime is a very like excited, expressive character. He's also kind of a hoe, but we don't talk about that. He hooks up with like a lot of people, but I mean, when there's no love in your planet, that's kind of expected. Like he doesn't know how to form an actual relationship. And for most of his time, he was just like sleeping on different friends' couches. Like he was sometimes kind of homeless, but it like switched a lot. And then one day he was like, okay, I need to find a solid apartment. So he picked an apartment that already had 2 members, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna join this apartment because I need to, and I'll get a part-time job so I can afford it. And then he meets Frank and Sylvia, and the minute he walked in the door, he was like, oh my god, I have 2 baddie roommates, like I'm gonna hook up with both of them. And then later on he finds out that they're both ace and dating, and he's like, oh fuck, great. So Slime has a small crush on both Sylvia and Frank and is like kind of trying to hook up with them, but they're both clueless to that, and just like Sylvia views him as like her best friend, and Frank frankly kind of doesn't care. Like he doesn't ignore Slime, but they're not too close. Anyway, hey, these are the end credits. I'm so sorry for how long this video took, and I really want to thank you all for all your support and waiting for it for so long, but I'm just really happy. The fan art on this screen, I'm so sorry, Bailey, that it took so long to get yours in a video, but I really love it. It's so nice. I also got 2 pieces from both my friends. Thank you to both of you. So thank you all so much. I'm really enjoying having 1K. I never expected to get this many. I expected like maybe 100. That was my most goal, and we completely overseeded that, and we're still growing, which is insane. Like, there are so many of you now. Just thank you guys. I'm gonna take a break from making content after this video just because it was so much work, but I'll probably be posting in like another 3 days. So yeah, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you like this video.